You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Called the USA, and we fly our flag cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Life.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. All right, so we're working some new software tonight. There might be some glitches. You're just going to have to bear with us. I think Rick's going to have to mute a microphone on his end real quick and kill the feedback. But, yeah, that's a lot better now. So welcome back. It's great to be with you. We're going to do this show tonight. We're going to be taking next Wednesday off for Independence Day. I hope you enjoy it. Should be a great time of the year for everybody that loves our country. Don't think of it as it's the day for fireworks. Remember that it is Independence Day. It's not the 4th of July. Before we get going, we're going to touch on a few things unscripted, as usual, other news around the world. We got, let's see, Joe Jackson has passed away. Yeah, Joe Jackson, sad news. Got oil to the highest price in 4 years now. But yet this week, the price at the pump here has been dropping a few cents. I don't get how that works, but, whatever. We now have new government estimates that GDP could top 5% in the spring. I don't know if that's next spring or if they haven't finished, curtailing the spring numbers that we've just exited. We've got Trump's approval rating at 45% right now. Let's see. We've got the House rejecting the largest amnesty bill in history. Thank God for that. And we have a judge ordering family reunification within 30 days. Now, being that that's probably an almost insurmountable task for government, and I don't normally spend a lot of time on these unscripted headlines, but to tell the government that they have 30 days to undo a program that's been going on for years, that's probably not going to work out real well. I expect that there will be some type of extension granted to this with the executive order ending the separation from their families. It's just a matter of finding facilities to put these families in now. And that just takes a little time. And, they're just going to have to understand that. And it's not going to happen within 30 days. That's almost let me tell you something, folks. As somebody who was in the military, to tell the government they have 30 days to do something, it doesn't happen that way. So this judge, who probably used this as a little platform to make himself feel really good about his personal politics and use it to shine in the spotlight for his 15 minutes of fame, that's really all this is. There's no way this gets complied with within 30 days. It just is what it is. It'll be complied with, but yeah, Anyway. McConnell has said that the Senate will vote in the fall on the Supreme Court justice replacement with the announcement of Anthony Kennedy's retirement. Yes, the left is melting down over Kennedy's retirement. They're already talking about how Roe versus Wade is done now. And who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm sure that we'll see a lot of the same familiar names we saw when Gorsuch was tapped to replace Kennedy. There's going to be some fine people on that list. I'm sure that Mike Lee will again be mentioned, whether he's interested or not, who knows. Congratulations to New York. You have a female Democratic socialist that won your primary last night in New York. So, I guess Bernie's going to have some company on the opposite end of the scale. She's like 28 years old. Pelosi was not overly thrilled when questioned about her today. She tried to play it off all nice and sweet, but, that's just not how it is. Anyway, that is about it for the unscripted portion of the show. And I am going to gather my notes here real quick, and we're going to get into the scripted part of the show. And just bear with me. All right, so we've got Representative John Lewis of Georgia talking about the president's executive order that we briefly talked about in the unscripted portion. The executive order that President Trump issued that ended the separation of children from the families for detention. So now, I'm gonna read this, and you have to understand this is coming from John Lewis, and this was written to give you his perspective. I'm going to interject my own counterpoints into this, but I don't want you thinking that I've suddenly jumped ship or something here on this immigration issue. So anyway, Representative or Congressman Lewis said that President Trump's executive order aimed at detaining illegal immigrants with their children merely replaces the unacceptable evil of family separation with the unacceptable evil of child detention. Now, this is because Congressman Lewis, as well as a bunch of others on the Democrat side of the House and Senate, would just love to see borders abolished because they're all about the undoing of our nation. They want to create the largest welfare state on the globe. And you have to understand that you cannot have open borders and a welfare state. Your country will never last. Never, under any circumstances. So this order continues, again, this is according to Lewis, this order continues an assault not just on immigrant families, but also on our country's legacy of affirmatively protecting human rights. And never mind that this wasn't a crisis during the Obama administration when the children were in cages. Lewis said that children will still be in cages and will still be traumatized and will still cry out for help, which is ridiculous. Lewis proposed a solution to fix the unabated assault on immigrants illegally crossing the U.S. southern border. I like how he says that. He's going to propose a fix on the unabated assault on people violating our laws. He doesn't like us enforcing our laws. Stating that federal authorities should not lock refugees up or charge them with made-up crimes. So again, violating our laws are quote-unquote made-up crimes. Though Trump's executive order seeks to prevent the separation of illegal immigrants from their children, Lewis accused the administration of doubling down on its inhumane and hateful policies by refusing to enforce or to end its enforcement of zero-tolerance border protection. He said this so-called zero-tolerance policy is not keeping with the values and the principles of our country. Yes, Congressman, it actually is. One of the oldest principles of our country is the enforcement of our laws. That's why we drafted said laws and had them ratified. You see, Congressman Lewis, you've lost your mind. Okay? Respect due to your civil rights cause and your involvement in that cause. This is not a civil rights issue. No matter how bad you want to twist it and reclaim some of your old glory, it is not. Now, Representative Lewis is one of nearly 200 Democrats co-sponsoring the Keep Families Together Act. In general, the bill proposes that an agent or an officer of a designated agency shall be prohibited from removing a child from his or her parent or legal guardian at or near the port of entry or within 100 miles of a border of the United States. So basically what they're saying is that they don't even want to do catch and release, just let them go. Now, here I'm gonna give you Lewis's full quote. Okay, this is the full quote from John Lewis. Make no mistake, today's executive order fails to address or end this moral crisis. It merely replaces the unacceptable evil of family separation with the unacceptable evil of child detention. This order continues an assault not just on immigrant families, but also on our country's legacy of affirmatively protecting human rights. Children will still be in cages. We read this part already. How can members of this administration persecute those fleeing violence? How can they ignore their anguish,
That's not how any
and
of this
suffering?
works.
How can they look themselves in the mirror? He continued to say, parents and their children have a legal right to seek asylum in this country, no matter how they get here. Federal authorities should not lock refugees up or charge them with made-up crimes. Thoughtful and compassionate nations that are committed to international human rights law should lead by example by offering kind words, open ears, and helping hands. Notice what he did not say. He didn't say we should have open borders, even though that's what he's getting at here. This is nothing but an assault on the established and long-practiced immigration laws of our country. This is what the left is all about. I got news for you, John Lewis. More and more African Americans are against illegal immigration. They understand that it drives American workers' wages down. They understand that it decreases job opportunity for all Americans, and especially right now when the job market for African Americans is the best it has ever been since the statistic was tracked. I'm so furious I can't even talk right. Since the statistic was tracked, it has never been a better job market for African Americans than it is right now. And the fact that it didn't happen under Barack Obama is driving the left crazy. And it's driving me crazy too. These people want to rant and scream and shout, and it's their own fault. For the first 2 years of the Obama administration, they had the House, the Senate, and the White House. And what did they do? They did nothing. They weren't obstructed. They had the majority. They did nothing. It's a little different right now because you even have some Republicans working against their president. It's hard to call Trump a Republican. That's the ticket he ran on. He is not a Republican. There are a lot of Republicans that have issue with Trump because of that. There are a lot of Democrats that have issue with Trump, period, because he's not a Democrat. Okay? So here's what you've got going on. And every time he notches a win, and we're going to get into some of his wins a little later, because they're really starting to add up now. They're really starting to add up. January might be the biggest win yet. Time will tell. But we talked about it last week. January could be Trump's biggest win yet. Stay tuned. So, we're going to press on. We're going to be done with Lewis and his rant about. Excuse me. New Jersey Democratic Governor Phil Murphy is reportedly proposing a hike in the gun permit and licensing fees. And he's not just talking about chump change here. He's talking about a 2,400% increase. Now, that's a steep number. That is a steep number. Such fees have not been raised since the 1960s in New Jersey, and the governor's plan has not been formally introduced in the state legislature as of yet. However, details obtained by New Jersey Advanced Media show that permits for handguns these numbers, okay, hang on here. These numbers are ridiculously low, but still, it doesn't matter. You can raise it, but 2,400%. Okay, so right now, the current permit for a handgun is $2 in New Jersey. $2. Now, this is an unfriendly state for guns. Okay, mind you, this is a Democratic state charging $2 for guns. I am in a hardcore 2-to-1 Republican state that charges $35 a year to permit a gun. Okay? Now, gun ID card fees, which there aren't here, would raise from $5 to $100. Handgun carry permits would go from $50 to $500, and a manufacturer's license would rise from $100 to $1,500. Now, the governor, again, this is all, it's all veiled. Okay, they use whatever they can to make their assault on the Second Amendment look like it's honorable. It's crap. So he says it's hard to believe it's actually cheaper to get a permit to purchase a handgun, which is $2, than it is to get a dog license in practically any town in our state. Number one, that tells me your dog licenses are priced way too high. Number two, if you get a handgun carry permit, why do you have to purchase a separate permit to buy a gun? You actually have to buy a permit to buy a gun. Then you have to get a carry permit if you want to carry the gun. Friends, you're getting screwed in New Jersey. That's what it boils down to. You're getting screwed in New Jersey. Since taking office 5 months ago, the governor has passed 6 gun control laws. And Scott Bach, who heads the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, said this proposal would punish law-abiding gun owners for the acts of criminals and madmen, and said that it would not survive a court challenge. So it will be challenged in court. Again, I don't know what part of it he's going to challenge, or all of it maybe. I don't know that, but it would seem very reasonable to me that you would not have to have a permit just to buy a handgun, as opposed to having a permit to carry a handgun. So, and of course, the governor's plan offers no details as to how much revenue they intend to raise with these increased fees. I don't know, but a $500 carry permit, that's ridiculous, and I would consider that an infringement upon my Second Amendment right. So anyway, that's going on in New Jersey. We're going to, I know we're probably about 1 or 2 minutes ahead of the bottom of the hour break, Rick, but if we could go ahead and take it here in just a second. I know I'm probably catching you off guard by a minute, so I'm going to keep running my mouth so you can cue everything up. If we could do that here in just a minute, I'm just at the end of the story about a minute or two early, so we're going to do that. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some harassment issues going on in this country. Yeah, we got to get to some harassment issues. And then after that, we're going to talk about a horse. And then we're going to talk about those Trump victories I was telling you about a little earlier. So do yourself a favor. Stay tuned. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes right here on KLRN Radio.
Home on the free, yeah.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America?
All right, welcome back. That's great. Rick, are you still there? No, okay, you muted now. Okay. So anyway, quick programming reminder following me tonight at the top of the hour, Jesse's POV. Then you get a 1 hour break. You get your late dinner in, you get your dessert in, you get your drink on as you want to do, and then come back for America Off the Rails with Rowdy Robinson to Nightcap on KLRN Radio, your Wednesday night trifecta of conservative talk. So when we left off, we were about to press on into some harassment issues. Yes, harassment issues. We have Congresswoman Maxine Waters, affectionately known as Mad Max. She called on Americans to physically confront Trump administration officials whenever you see them, to create a crowd and to push back and tell them they're not welcome anymore anywhere. Predicted that people are going to turn on Trump and harass them and his people to the point where they won't be able to go to a restaurant or a gas station or a department store. Now, she said, let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gas station, you get out and create a crowd, she said, at a rally on Saturday in Los Angeles, and you push back on them, and you tell them you're not welcome anywhere. Later that day on MSNBC, Waters said, "I have no sympathy for these people that are in his administration who know it's wrong for what they're doing on so many fronts. They tend to not want to confront this president or even leave, but they know what they're doing is wrong. I want to tell you, these members of his cabinet who remain and try to defend him, they won't be able to go to a restaurant, they won't be able to stop at a gas station, and they're not going to be able to shop in a department store," said Waters. "The people are going to turn on him. They're going to protest. They're absolutely going to harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, I can't hang with you. This is wrong. This is unconscionable. We can't keep doing this to children." Now, this was after Trump issued the executive order to stop the separation of children and families. Okay? This is after. So, Maxine Waters is calling upon Democrats around the country to harass cabinet members, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing. We've already seen instances of this happening with Sarah Huckabee Sanders and her family at the restaurant. And it wasn't enough. No, it wasn't enough for the owner to come throw her out of that restaurant. The owner gathered a crowd and followed her to the other restaurant she went to across the street and harassed her continuingly. See, people, even Chuck Schumer gets this, okay? Chuck Schumer gets that what's being called for here is wrong. And he said it in his own words. He said it's not only is it wrong, it's un-American. But that didn't stop a crowd from confronting Elaine Chao and Mitch McConnell at an event. They tried it there too. Chao would have none of it. And the way Chao looked, it looked like the security people basically had to pull her from ripping somebody's head off, which is great. But see, unfortunately, this is what the left wants. They want to get in everybody's face. They want to taunt you. They want to have somebody assault them so they can say, look at how inhumane they are. You can't give in to it. So, Maxine continued to say, some people have said a long time ago that he would become presidential over time. He will never be presidential. This man does not have any good values. I believe he needs to be impeached. As a matter of fact, a long time before he's doing what he's doing now with these children, I think he had done enough to undermine this country and to have us understand that we cannot trust him, that we should have come with an impeachment resolution. So I believe we cannot wait until the next presidential election, she said. We have to resist him. I want to see him impeached. She is completely and absolutely unhinged beyond any kind of control point. There's no chance that Maxine Waters can function rationally, let alone represent people effectively. It's simply not possible. She went further and said that he is a dishonorable man, a despicable human being with no good values. He's dangerous, and he does not care about our democracy, and he aligns himself with dictators because he wants to be just like them. What he did was he excelled in an area of political one-upsmanship where the Democrats could not. They could not bring North Korea to the table. They could not bring Russia to the table. They couldn't do it. All Obama could do is sit around and pledge flexibility to Putin. And there's no doubt in my mind that that's all they want to continue to do. They're just simply bitter because he keeps notching victories. Now, you want to talk about another small victory here? Here we go. Another small victory. Remember Reality Winner? Yeah, I know I teased you about a horse because it sounds like a horse name, but Reality Winner is a former Air Force linguist who was the first person prosecuted by the Trump administration on charges of leaking classified information. And Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, she pleaded guilty as part of an agreement with the prosecutors that calls for a sentence of 63 months in prison. So Miss Winner, sounds like we're talking about chicken dinners, Miss Winner's chicken dinners, who entered her plea in federal district court in Augusta, Georgia, was arrested last June and accused of sharing a classified report about Russian interference in the 2016 election with the news media. She is now 26 and has been jailed since her arrest. Her decision to plead guilty to one felony count allows the government both to avoid a complex trial that had been scheduled for October and to notch a victory in the Trump administration's aggressive pursuit of leakers. She said, "All my actions I did willfully, meaning I did so of my own free will." Yeah, well, that's what willfully means. She's a bright one, this linguist. She has a full grasp of the English language, apparently. She was honorably discharged from the Air Force in 2016, was working as a contractor for the National Security Agency when she obtained a copy of a report that described hacks by a Russian intelligence service against local election officials and a company that sold software related to voter registration. The Intercept, an online news outlet that a prosecutor said Miss Winner admired, published a copy of the top secret report shortly before her arrest was made public. The report described 2 cyber attacks by Russia's military intelligence unit, the GRU, one in August against a company that sells voter registration-related software, and another a few days before the election against 122 local election officials. At a detention hearing last year, the prosecutor, Jennifer Solari, said that Miss Winner had been mad about some things she had seen in the media and wanted to set the facts straight. Well, at a detention hearing last year, that was the same thing. An FBI affidavit made public when she was arrested last year said that there was a visible crease mark on the file, and a scan of which the Intercept had provided to the government while trying to authenticate it, that prompted investigators to surmise it was a printout. Audit trails showed 6 people had printed copies, but only one had used a work computer to send emails to the Intercept. A search warrant application said she had found the report by plugging keywords into the NSA system that fell outside of her normal work duties. Moreover, while the FBI did not mention it in filings, computer security experts noted that the printer appeared to leave barely visible microdots on the printout, identifying the serial number of the printer and the date and time of the printing, 6:20 a.m. on May 9th of 2017. Interesting. Once rare, leak cases have become much more common in the 21st century, in part because of such electronic trails. Depending on how they're counted, the Obama administration brought 9 or 10 leak-related prosecutions, about twice as many as were brought under all previous presidencies combined. The Justice Department prosecuted Ms. Winter under the Espionage Act, which is a World War I era law that criminalizes the unauthorized disclosure of national security secrets that could be used to harm the United States or aid a foreign adversary. Defendants facing such charges are not permitted to argue to a jury during trial that they should vote to acquit because the disclosure was in the public interest. Ms. Winter's prosecution galvanized Transparency, who mounted a publicity campaign in her support that even included a billboard in Augusta that the East Georgia City, this is the East Georgia City where Ms. Winter lived at the time of her arrest. They were particularly infuriated by a judge's ruling that she be held until her trial. Well, you have to hold her until trial. You don't know what else she might have that she can leak. It's a national security risk. I swear, sometimes people just don't engage their brain before their mouths. So, Miss Winter's mother, Billy Davis, said that they're just coming down on her so tough. I can only think that it's because she was the very first one, the one they wanted to make an example out of, the one they wanted to nail the door as a message to others. So still, she said of her daughter's willingness to plead guilty, she wouldn't have made this decision if she wasn't ready to accept the consequences and to accept responsibility. Ms. Winter is the second known person to have reached a plea agreement with the Trump administration to resolve a leaked prosecution. Former FBI agent Terry Albury pleaded guilty in April, but prosecutors in that case have signaled that they will ask that he serve 46 to 57 months in prison. So a little different circumstances, maybe not quite as severe a leak. I don't know. But again, a leak is a leak, and I think if you're prosecuting under the Espionage Act, you should go for jugular. I mean, this is ridiculous. So that's a small victory. Now we need to talk about some big victories, because what we had today, what we had today, Supreme Court dealt a blow to public sector unions, holding that government workers who are represented by a union but choose not to join do not have to pay to cover the cost of collective bargaining. So basically, they cannot force you to pay union dues. The 9-member court ruled 5-4 that such payments, often called fair share fees, clash with individual rights. The fees violate the free speech rights of non-members by compelling them to subsidize private speech on matters of substantial public concern. Such was written in the majority decision in the case of Janus versus AFS-CME. So the ruling basically fulfilled a long-time wish of a lot of conservatives to get rid of these fees, which non-members pay to unions in roughly 24 states. Now, President Trump tweeted immediately after the decision that non-union workers are now able to support a candidate of his or her own choice without having those who control the union deciding for them. Now, the tweet is not alliterated perfectly, unions were already not permitted to use funding from non-members for political activity. However, an arrangement that was in place, allegedly for 41 years. But in the case of plaintiff Mark Janus, they argued that paying any money to the union that represents him constituted political speech. That's because the union's bargaining for higher wages and benefits on behalf of its members directly affects issues like government spending by his home state of Illinois. This mirrors an increasingly common conservative argument that sees the very existence of unions as inherently political. Well, maybe if unions weren't donating politically, they wouldn't be seen as inherently political. The decision, which was widely expected, is likely to devastate funding for public sector unions, including those representing teachers, police officers, and municipal workers. Now, here, let me stop you for a minute because I know a little something about this part of it. It in no way affects their ability to bargain. Okay? What it does is it affects how much money they take in that they can use to pay lobbyists with, that they can use to pay attorneys with. Okay? They don't need that money to bargain. Now, does it possibly hurt their bargaining position? Maybe. But you know what? Unions still exist, even here in my state, for police officers, municipal workers, and educators. And nobody is forced to join them, and nobody is forced to pay dues to them. And these unions still function, but they function strictly as serving their members. Amazing. They don't do politics. So while workers can choose whether or not to join a union, unions are legally obligated to bargain for anyone in a particular work group. That's their choice. They chose to unionize. Workers are allowed to choose not to join. So across the border from Illinois, AFSCME 61 enjoys an overwhelming 83% support among covered workers, but only 29% of those workers are dues-paying members. Cry me a river. The Supreme Court ruled that workers did not have to pay for union representation, but it did not remove unions' obligation to represent those workers. For the worker, this means they can leave the union, save on fees, and still get the pay and benefits the union negotiates with the employer. Well, you know what? Don't negotiate then. Don't negotiate. I can see many businesses, many industries where unions have wrecked them. Absolutely wrecked them by elevating the workers' salaries so high that the company couldn't survive. So unions are the only private organization that are required by law to provide whether or not they pay dues. Okay. Don't argue for me. Don't argue for me. Go in there and argue for your 29%. See how that goes over. See how that works. You know, in a perfect world, the right to work laws would be done so well that there would never be a need for unions. And I think we're starting to inch our way there. Governor Scott Walker has shown us a blueprint. Can it be improved upon? Sure, what couldn't be? But I think Governor Walker has really shown the And, I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming, especially following this decision. You're going to see a lot of unions taking a lot of financial hits. This is a win. This is one of the things Trump actually brought up during his campaign that he wanted to have addressed. This is a win for Trump. What else is a win for Trump? He's going to get to appoint another Supreme Court justice. Anthony Kennedy has decided to retire at a moment where Donald Trump holds the presidency and Mitch McConnell controls the Senate. And there are names already being bounced around. There are three, I think, that are the upper echelon. I don't know if Mike Lee is going to be. Bill Pryor, outstanding. Let me tell you something about Bill Pryor. He used to be my attorney general here. He scares the hell out of the left in every way. You want to talk about conservative? That man is conservative. His tie squeaks. He's so conservative. So yeah. And as my friend Mo said today, we finally get to fill the seat. Yeah, for all the whining about stealing Merrick Garland's seat, whatever. I'm a fan of Pryor. Okay, I hope he gets it. He's only 56 years old, so he would stay on the court for quite a long time. This is going to give President Trump the ability to shift jurisprudence on a range of critical issues. It very well could be the most important part of Trump's legacy as president. Certainly at this point, and let's go back a little bit. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, while Obama was president, refused to retire from the court, saying that she feared that he would not pick somebody liberal enough to replace her with. If Ruth Bader Ginsburg can't hold on through Trump's presidency, Trump will get yet another appointment to the Supreme Court. So this is not done by a long shot. Who knows what kind of health she's in and how long she can hold on. What this does do, is it really means that we've got to get the conservative vote out in the midterms, because the liberals are going to be looking to steal every seat they can steal to stop Trump court appointments. Now, does that mean they'll get it done? We don't know. You can't take that chance. Okay? Maybe somebody figures out a way to motivate the base to get out in the midterm and to flip the Senate. God help us, but, it could happen. The House, it's almost a done deal on the House. It's going to be so close. I don't know if the House survives. So we need to make sure that we keep the Senate midterm. Otherwise, you're looking at 2 more years of just stalemate, basically. That would be a disaster. So anyway, another victory for Trump, on top of another victory for Trump, on top of another victory for Trump. It has been a hell of a week. Oh, and on top of another victory with the immigration ban, the restriction. So anyway, a hell of a week for Trump. All right, folks, that's about going to do it for us tonight. We're not going to be on, I'm not going to be on next Wednesday. It'll be Independence Day, as I mentioned earlier. I want you to enjoy Independence Day. Remember why we have it. and why it's important. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you need new ones. But they and you are welcome right here with every week on KLRN Radio for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. I'm your host, The Grouch. Peace. God bless.
We believe in the American way. Built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag 'cause we're proud.